Welcome back, guys. The Passion Over Money. Today, we're going to talk about getting buff physically and financially. Let's get it. Welcome back, guys. Today, I have a very, very special episode for you all. Today, I have Ben Marciano with Zone Health and Fitness. Ben, please introduce who you are and all the great things you have going on.
Well, you kind of gave me a good intro. I'm Ben Marciano. I own Zone Health and Fitness here in Ocala, Florida.
That's awesome. And Ben is a good friend of mine, mentor, and been a client of mine as well. And Ben, how did you get started in the health and fitness industry for people to know who you are?
Yeah, I started when I was 18 years old and over 20 years ago. And I was going to college here at CFCC, and my buddy owned a gym. It was called World Gym on Highway 40.
Yeah.
And I started working there. And from the second I started working there, I loved the industry. It was awesome.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And when you were a child, what did you want to be? Was this the industry you wanted to become?
It's so funny. No, I actually wanted to be a singer, and I would sing to my mom.
So you can sing?
No, I can't sing. That's the career completely did not come to fruition because of that. But my mom made me think that I could sing, but when other people heard me sing, it was like, no way, you can't. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And guys, Ben, he owns Zone Health and Fitness. You guys have grown really fast. I mean, you guys are on your second location. You've been open for how long?
We're actually on our 3-year anniversary right now.
3-year anniversary. Today?
Yeah.
Is it today?
It's no, I think it was the 14th of September.
The 14th of September. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And you guys opened up your second location now.
Yes.
I mean, you have how many members in your first location?
We have 5,200 members.
5,200, over 5,000 members. I mean, you guys are 3 years, open up your second location already.
Yeah.
Tell me about the model of Zone Health and Fitness. When did you guys get started, and how did you discover? So was Zone already discovered, or was it something that you built from the ground up?
No, honestly, having 20 years of experience in the industry, I had the opportunity to see a lot of different facilities and programs that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to create a health club unlike no other. And that's the name Zone, is that, we have different zones in our facility. We literally want people to find their zone. See, most gyms today, you go in, it's a big cookie cutter facility. You try and figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for people that have never worked out before. We wanted to create a facility that everybody could walk in and find a zone that they feel comfortable in and see the results they desire.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you go into Zone, I mean, they really take somebody who might not know anything about working out, or somebody who already does, and they focus on the results. And everybody has different goals, right?
Absolutely.
They want to achieve. So now, last week I brought on somebody that works with you too, right?
Yes.
Tom Ingram. He's the president of Center State Bank here in Marion County, and he was telling me that he took a risk, right, and investing in you to start Zone Health and Fitness. How did that relationship begin?
Well, it's funny, I wish I had more time, I'd share the story, but I will tell you that I met Tom one day when I was out on Lake Weir at Eaton's Beach, and I knew Tom from the community, and he approached me and he said, hey, I would love to invest in a gym with you. Would you ever consider leaving the Y? And that's when I was working at the Y.
So he approached you?
He did.
Really?
He did.
That's awesome.
He made the comment to me, and at the time I never really thought about it, but then over a couple months I really started to think about it, and I put a business plan together and met back with Tom, and Tom saw my passion, and he took a big risk on me. And Tom's been an unbelievable supporter. A great business partner.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of horror stories about having business partners. It's been awesome with Tom, and not only is a great business partner, but a great business mentor.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
And are you originally from Ocala? Were you born here?
So I was born in New York, but I grew up here. I grew up here. I've been over 35 years here in Denellen, Ocala area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And from being here in Ocala, what have you noticed makes Ocala unique, especially in this industry for health and fitness?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, the people here are amazing. The heart of the people here in Ocala. Obviously, my time at the Y, I had the opportunity to see how generous people were to give donations, and but also the support of this community for business owners. I mean, we've had unbelievable support from so many different people in our community coming together to support me, to support Zone, the health of our community, and and that's why I wouldn't leave. There was a point when my career at the Y, the next step would have been for me to move to Orlando, and I didn't want to leave Ocala. I love it here, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people watching this show, I mean, we have all sorts of different people that watch, young people to older business people as well. You know, I feel like we got that out of the way. We got, your story. I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, what is it about the health and fitness industry that you enjoy the most?
Honestly, it's about changing people's lives. I have had the opportunity over the years that I've been in the industry, literally watching people walk in the doors and be so depressed they were contemplating suicide. Like, that's how depressed they were about how they felt about themselves.
Yeah.
And then to see them 3 months later walk in with a smile on their face and like a shine coming out of them has really motivated me to want to do more. And that's what our mission is to shape lives and strengthen our community.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have a similar story to that, right? You can relate to that.
Yeah. For the health and fitness industry has helped me tremendously. Even when I first got out of high school, I was weighing about 110 pounds, and really insecure about my weight. And I was able to put on a lot of size by working out, and it gave me the confidence, and even the industry gave me the confidence. I had great leaders that supported me, that helped me build my character and who I am today. And for them, I'm very grateful. They helped me be who I am today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And are you married? Do you have kids?
I am. I have a beautiful wife, Danielle.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you can't do this by yourself, right?
Honestly, I tell people without her, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah,
I mean, she's
awesome.
probably the biggest reason for my success. I would tell you that.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 beautiful kids, Benjamin Jr., who's 8. I have Vincent, who's 5, and Giovanna, who's 3.
Yeah. And they're actors too. I mean, you see this guy and his wife. I mean, they're like the celebrity family.
Yeah.
So.
No, my wife more so than me and my kids. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, let's really get into business here. That's what I'm most interested here, because growing a health and fitness club like this in 3 years can't happen by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some secrets that you've implemented inside Zone that's worked?
Well, I will tell you, and I know you hear a lot of these answers probably consistently, but the most important thing is to hire the right people, right?
Yeah.
You got to go out and find people that really care about making a difference, that have the heart to want to serve.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. Obviously, my experience in the industry, I had a lot of experience of working for other business owners and seeing how they operated and learning from them on what to do and not necessarily what not to do, right?
Learning good stuff,
Good
bad
stuff, and bad stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I was able to take that, and a lot of times people just want to jump into business, but it was so important for me to have that experience working for other business owners, to see that, and it really helped me go in with a plan right away, knowing how much capital I needed, knowing the marketing strategies, the systems I needed to put in place, the programs I wanted to be able to offer, so we were able to hit the ground running.
Yeah. And what are some, in this industry, I can imagine being in very fast-paced environments. Some people could be probably drained, from the environments and just go. What are some things that you've implemented in your team to motivate them on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, well, we obviously tell them, if you're going to work at Zone, you're going to work out. We want you to live a healthy lifestyle, right?
So we try.
Well, we do it for more than that. Is we want them to feel better, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot of team building activities. We do a lot of outings on a quarterly basis. We take our employees out and we spend time with them. We really want them to feel like they're part of a family. I will say I push really hard. I'm probably one of the hardest bosses to work for, but I also want them to know how much I care about them.
Yeah.
And my goal is to make them better. So, we've had good success. If you hire the right people early on that have the heart, a lot of times it takes care of itself.
Do you feel like by pushing people past their limits, but actually caring about their family and actually about them as a person and investing in them works compared to people who just push without looking at the other side?
Early in my career, I think I did a little bit of that, and I could tell you that doesn't work. If you don't care about people, and it's all about the numbers, then eventually they're going to see right through that, and they're not going to want to be there, right?
Yeah.
So now we really take it about the relationship with the person. We really want to make sure that they understand that we care about them, which we really do.
Yeah.
And then, they have expectations every day. We're going to push hard, but they understand it's under the motive that we want them to get better, and we want to be able to serve our members. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about your hiring process for people that are looking or are trying to understand a little more what an employer is looking for in this industry. When you guys are at how many employees now?
We have over 80.
Over 80 employees. That's amazing.
Yeah.
When you guys are hiring somebody in an interview, what are some main things that you look for? Is it their resume? Is it how they speak?
So funny you ask. It's honestly one thing. I'm trying to see their heart.
Yeah.
Do they have the heart to want to serve? We do look at a resume to see if they bounced around from job to job, and we are going to do references. But the most important thing is I want to see, does their heart line up with our mission? Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we actually do. We don't just do one interview. We actually do 3 separate interviews with 3 different directors. So we can see, we want to be able to come together and see, hey, did you see? What did you see? And then we make a decision based off of that.
So you're looking for a culture to match the culture of your business.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because if they match the culture, and I'm sure it happens in a business, especially the size of yours, where you have one negative person that that could cause a bad stir in the business.
It really does. Yeah, and we, at that time, we're not scared to make tough decisions, to understand that maybe that's just not the best place for that person. They might have a better opportunity out there, and but we definitely, we don't allow it to affect our culture, which is the most important thing and what we try to operate at our facility.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask this question today because I asked Tom the question, and he brought up some really good points. I asked him, what is the relationship between a mentor and a mentee? Because I feel like a lot of people get this confused. And I heard his perspective. I'm curious to hear yours.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, being able to bounce things off of them, like be a sounding board, right?
Yeah.
So like when I call Tom, I always want to hear his perspective. He does think differently than me.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate his perspective, and he's done this a lot longer than me. So, and just me even being able to talk things through, a lot of times I can figure it out, but it's really just being that sounding board, being able to hear things out and know that he's probably been through it and he can give me some advice. So, and the other thing is having a mentor that's not going to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And that's a good mentor. I have another guy, I don't know if you know Dave Feckman, who used to be here in Ocala, a very successful business guy. And he's always been that guy. He's never going to tell me what I want to hear, but he always tells me what I need to hear.
That's good.
Yeah.
And how about, these people have businesses in other areas. How about finding a mentor in the industry that you can go to? Have you been able to find somebody like that?
Yeah, Joe Cerulli, the owner of Gainesville Health and Fitness. And, I reached out to him right when I knew I was going to buy Zone.
Yeah.
I actually called him. And the first time I called him, he returned my call and set up a 2-hour meeting with me.
Wow.
And he's been great.
Yeah.
So I encourage people, find out who's doing what you want to do great and reach out to him. You never know. You never know.
And when somebody gives you advice, when your mentor tells you something that's on their mind, do you take it in 100%, or do you take what you can, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think that you got to process it. I definitely always think about it after I have the conversation, process it, and sometimes I'll take it all. Sometimes I take bits and pieces. So.
That's awesome, and I think that finding somebody within the industry is huge because they've been through it and they can give you some solid points.
Absolutely.
That they've experienced. So that's awesome. And so you started out 18 years old.
Right.
Right. And obviously you weren't doing this when you were 18.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. What were you doing at 18 years old?
Well, I was going to college. I was going to school for criminal justice.
Okay.
And kind of was in my family. A lot of my family are in criminal justice, so that was kind of my thing. But I really just loved it. And it was my passion. Like, you can tell when something's your passion, and it just grabbed me from the second I did it. So for me, it was a complete change of direction once I started to see it and how much I loved it.
Yeah. Now, what health and fitness area were you working at the time?
Here in Ocala.
Here in Ocala?
Yeah, here in Ocala.
And were you managing employees? Were you
training? At 18 years old, no, I was just a regular employee that was selling memberships, cleaning the gym, cleaning toilet bowls.
Yeah.
Kind of started at the bottom and had to work my way up, which I love.
Yeah.
Most times, a lot of times people want to come in and they think they kind of almost deserve a management position.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to start somewhere where you have to work up and earn it.
And do you feel like, there's a ton of people, like I talk to young entrepreneurs or young people that are working in an environment, they're working for somebody right now, and they always ask me like, hey, Alex, I want to be an entrepreneur. What is the first thing you recommend me? And I ask them like, okay, well, first off, why do you want to become an entrepreneur?
Right.
Because that's important to understand what's your passion.
Yeah.
What is it you realized for yourself that was like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go all in with it?
Yeah, I think I've always been super driven. I think that I've always had that drive in me.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think a couple years in of working in the industry, I thought, I'd love to own one.
Yeah. Did you like working for somebody? Did you enjoy that process?
I did. Actually, I really did. And I had some awesome leaders along the way that I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to work under.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. And that's really good to understand because like I hear people sometimes and that makes me curious when some people say, I hate working for somebody, like I absolutely cannot stand it. And at the end of the day, like if like you work for 5,200 members.
Yes.
At the end of the day, really.
I do.
If you work for your clients and
yeah.
and it's really like you have to be able to understand that dynamic because it can get lost,
Yeah, it does.
So what are some recommendations or advice you would give students right now that are 18 years old and are trying to figure it out?
Well, I think you could get out there and if you're passionate about something, give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Get in there and experience it. And the other thing is I think that people tend to walk away from things pretty quickly today. Like if they're not happy with something, I'm just going to quit. I will tell you, I had those thoughts so many times in my career, like I was going to quit and do something else. And I'm so grateful that I didn't walk away from this industry, that I stuck it out. And then I had the grit to continue on because I would have missed this awesome opportunity by doing that.
What are some of the tough times that made you want to quit?
Being passed over for promotions, which I thought I earned. Being pushed hard, being...
Really quick, I just want to, because this is actually really a topic too. When you're promised a position or, maybe like there's opportunity there, but you don't get it, how do you deal with that? Do you think it's fair or do you feel like it's time to move on?
Yeah. So it's funny. I mean, I don't mind sharing this. My time at the Y, I was a membership director, and the executive director got promoted above me, and I thought that I was ready for the promotion. And the leadership at the time didn't think that I was, and and I remember at that time thinking I'm going to find something else. And my wife has always been a sounding board for me, and she said, listen, why don't you try something different? Why don't you stick your nose to the grindstone and start to envision yourself in that position and go to work every day with an awesome attitude and see what happens. Yeah. And for 3 months, they interviewed people in front of me, and that was tough, right? I thought I earned the position, and it just worked out that eventually they made me the executive director, and I would have missed that, and I would have never had Zone if I walked out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like, it's changed, like, my whole perspective on that too has changed because just the way I look at it too. I mean, I've never actually worked in environments. I've never had a job.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing sales and I'm basically being interviewed by a client, they could hire somebody else, right? Like I call them the next day and they go, oh, hey, Alex, I'm sorry, I hired, your competitor.
Right.
And it hurts because it's like, man, like, we had a great, moment there. You told me that I was going to get it. I was very confident. I was hoping. And then it just faded away. But I've noticed that you cannot force something onto somebody. Yeah. You gotta earn it. You gotta work hard for it.
You do.
And in due time, it happens. And I believe everything happens for a reason. I'm just one of those optimistic people that really looks on the bright side of everything.
Yeah. And how much more rewarding when you do earn something. You know
absolutely.
That it's not given to you.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. A lot of people they try to think, I deserve it,
right.
But it's not the case.
Exactly.
That's not the case at all. So tell me, what is the overall goal for Zone? 3 years in, second location already. What is 5 years,
My vision is to franchise Zone. I want to change the health club industry across the country.
Yeah.
We want to be able to open a third location in the next couple of years, prove that we can duplicate the model outside of our community.
Nice.
And then start looking for franchisees.
That's awesome. And 2 years from now, when you do, because I know you're going to do it. This guy, he's a hard worker, right? I'm going to watch this video, all right? This video is going to get a lot more views, you know that, right? So I'm earning off of this. I'll split with you my AdSense.
Okay,
right?
I gotcha.
But no, that's really awesome, and I'm super honored to be able to bring this guy on. I'll share with you guys, that's just my relationship with Ben. He's been a mentor of mine. I don't know if you know this, just from outside, just by seeing his work ethic. I mean, here in Ocala, where there's not a lot of people, it's a small town. It's not like New York City.
Yeah.
Where were you born in New York, by the way?
Queens.
The Queens. Okay,
yeah.
so that makes sense. He was in New York City. He was pumping it up. But just being in that environment, like sometimes you get caught up in your own routines.
Yeah.
Right. And especially when you don't have somebody that's keeping you accountable. And I've seen him, and whenever he's out, second location, I'm going, man, I need to get my second location on too. Even though it's two separate industries.
Sure.
I get pumped by seeing you be successful.
Thank you.
I think that's really awesome.
That's awesome.
And that's another thing too, like accountability partners.
Yeah.
Do you guys have that within your within Zone?
Well, definitely. We actually have mentorship programs through Zone. So we put longer term employees with new employees. But our leaders, that's one of the things that we teach them. It's so important to create a clear expectation and hold people accountable, and we do a great job of that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Tom definitely holds me accountable to the success, but I've always kind of had that internal button of, I always want to get better.
Yeah.
So I also put a lot of pressure on myself to keep pressing forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the one thing that the one F word that we entrepreneurs don't like to hear, but failure. Right? When you get hit in the face and you're like, man, you hit it, especially when you're hitting huge goals, right? Yeah. And I know you like to hit huge goals.
I do.
When you hit failure, I mean, how do you bounce back?
Yeah, I think it's for me, failure pushes me harder. I know that there's always opportunities to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I have learned from a lot of mistakes, and that's just the perspective we have, knowing that, hey, this is just a learning lesson. Yeah. Let's get better from it. Let's look at what we could have done better, and let's get out there and push harder now. So, and we've had those along the way. I'll tell you, the first 9 months of owning Zone was the hardest time of my life.
Really?
We lived off our savings, Danielle and I, for 9 months, and we literally burned through it, and I was not sure that we were going to make it. And I almost started to regret, like, wow, what did I do here? And the month that I didn't know what was going to happen, that month Zone started doing really well. So it's the grit and the grind that it takes. And people tell you owning a business is hard, and you don't realize how hard it really is. But I will tell you, it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Awesome. And I would never go back and do anything other.
Do you recommend people to take big risks like that to be able to understand, because you're at a much better place now?
Yeah.
I mean, but you understand that work ethic you had when you were desperate, when you were looking at your bank account every single day and being like, whoa, am I going to make it?
Yeah. I think it's important to take calculated risk. Okay. I like to, and trust me, I asked a lot of people, Dave Feckman being one. I really put the work in on the front end, putting business performance together, factoring every equation as possible to see how this thing would work. Yeah. And I did a lot of research ahead of time, and and I needed the support of my family to make the jump, but it was well worth it.
That is good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what would you recommend somebody, and maybe some of your employees watching this video right now, I mean, what's some advice that you would just give on top of your head now?
I think the biggest thing is, come to work every day with a passion, right? Yeah. To want to serve and be the best. That's what I tell people. Have grit. Yeah. You're always going to have tough circumstances. Push through that. Use those as opportunities to get better. And just keep driving. You can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. I honestly believe that.
That's true.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, that's today's episode, guys. I'm not sure. Is it pretty? Do we go through it pretty fast? I feel like we've been here for like 5 minutes. We just bounce off really good. So thank you guys for watching today's episode. Make sure to tune in next week, every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. I'm bringing to you guys a new person, a new mentor, a new person in a different industry that's going to be able to give advice on business and share what they're passionate about too. And I think it's really awesome just hearing your stories. So. Awesome. Tune in next week, Passion Over Money, I think it's episode 3 today, right? Or 4. It's episode 4. So next week's going to be 5. All right, guys. Peace out. I'll see you all next time. Peace.